It's recorded in conformity with the CSULV Academic Technology Initiative's recommendations. In slide 1, it's presented the title of our Controversy 10. It's Retirement Obsolete. Slide 2. In here, we start looking for answers through discussions if retirement is or not obsolete. The 20th century could be called the age of retirement because retirement in old age became such a widespread. After World War II, there was a consistent decline in labor force participation with advancing age in all industrialized countries. For society, the decline in labor force participation represents a loss of productivity by older people for several reasons. 1. People are now living longer. 2. People are better educated. And 3. People are in better health than ever before. In the United States, the word of retirement usually brings to mind trading one's job for days of leisure, hobbies like gardening, reading, or golfing. It's something nearly everyone hopes to reach, even if they've done little on their own to prepare for it financially. Being retired does not necessarily mean your life is simpler. Most retired people face a wide range of difficult decisions when it comes to their money. Healthcare is expensive and insurance coverage a challenge. Keeping the house or where to move are issues that can have a big impact on lifestyle. Slide 3. History of retirement. Widespread retirement by workers only became possible after the Industrial Revolution of the 19th century. It was Prussian Chancellor Otto von Bismarck who first introduced the age of 65 as the basis for pension. By the early 20th centuries, many European countries began to industrialize retirement through government pension system. The United States followed with Social Security in 1935, a development that made leaving the labor force much more attractive to people. According to statistics, there are two main points that stand out about retirement in the U.S. First, the overwhelming majority of both men and women are retired from the labor force after the age of 65. And second, older men tend to move away from work and toward retirement. However, in 2000, labor force participation for people over age 65 was higher than it had been at any time since 1979, and the trend has continued into the 21st century. Slide 4. We continue discussing about the history of retirement. The word retirement essentially means the time when you leave workforce, but it doesn't mean becoming inactive, nor does it mean you even stop working. Rather, you might retire from one job and take up another. Retirees have a wealth of experience, and those who also have good health often find ways to share this knowledge, even if they are unpaid volunteers helping others start a business or support a local effort, such as charity or another public service agency. Therefore, retirement is not usually a negative event, and leisure can be viewed as either a negative time away from work or a positive experience of free time. However, retirement has a time of leisure. It's only possible with a certain degree of wealth. Trying to find an answer to our lecture's question, is retirement obsolete? We will have to take into consideration two other questions. First, is retirement a wise choice for a specific individual? And second, is the systematic practice of retirement in our society a good policy? Slide 5. In this slide, we will look at the changes of the American economy. A new post-industrial economy shaped by technology, information, and global competition has reshaped American society. Large companies can no longer guarantee employment or a predictable work-life based on patterns like in the past. Smaller companies are even less secure in order to have employees and employers because of the new competitive environment. For organizations, corporate downsizing often means a loss of older employees' experience and skills. Ironically, companies that try to decrease operating costs by pressuring older workers to retire have already begun finding themselves with unexpected skill gaps. And the volatility of the labor market today is more difficult for older workers to cope with than for younger workers. Statistically, older workers actually have lower employment rates than younger workers, but when older workers are displaced, it takes them much longer to find new jobs. Therefore, statistics measuring unemployment rates may be deceptive. During the 1950s and 1960s, the most common type of retirement programs were defined benefit programs that guaranteed to pay a specified level of income in retirement. In the 1990s, this guaranteed approach to retirement income changed in two ways. First, fewer employers offered pension as part of a fringe benefit package, and second, there is a trend toward defined contribution plans in all major industrial sectors such as 401k. So today, a majority of eligible workers participate in some type of retirement contribution plan. Slide 6. This slide discusses a new view of retirement. As you can only imagine, in the 21st century, retirement has already started taking new forms. On the negative side, the practice of retirement comes with large hidden costs, funding required for pensions and retirement systems, and loss of accumulated skills and talents. Yet, on the positive side, the availability of retirement has meant expanded leisure and opportunities for self-fulfillment in later life, more time for personal development, and volunteer service to others. In the early 1970s, about half of all Americans were covered by mandatory requirement provisions, which required they leave their jobs no later than a certain age, usually 65. In 1986, Congress abolished mandatory retirement by amending the Age Discrimination in Employment Act, even if the Age Discrimination Act originated in 1976. This act forbids older workers from being limited or treated in any way that would harm their employment possibilities. But mandatory retirement is still permitted for high-level executives in private industry for jobs where age is a bona fide occupational qualification. Bona fide occupational qualifications are employment qualifications that employers are allowed to consider while making decisions about hiring and retention of employees. The qualification should relate to an essential job duty and is considered necessary for operation of the particular business. The bona fide occupational qualifications rule allows for the hiring of individuals based on race, sex, age, and national origin. This is an exception and complete defense to Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which protects employees from discrimination based on religion, sex, age, national origin, and color at the workplace. In order to establish the defense of bona fide occupational qualification, an employer must prove the requirement is necessary to the success of the business and that a definable group or class of employment would be unable to perform the job safely and efficiently. An employer should also demonstrate a necessity for a certain type of workers because all others do not have certain characteristics necessary for employment success. However, the employer's motivation for excluding the protected class is not significant in evaluating the bona fide occupational qualification defense. The inquiry focuses on the necessity of using an expressly forbidden classification. Slide 7 discusses about productive aging. People over age 65 are productive in many ways. For example, 3/4 of older people are engaged in unpaid work such as housework or volunteer roles, and the total value of their contribution to society equals nearly 12 million full-time workers and equals 7 million workers in caregiving alone. Another important trend is the remarkable vitality of older people, including those 75 and up. Although health problems do increase in this group and limit some activities, older people are eager to be actively involved with their communities. More elders are volunteering today than a generation ago, and studies have emerged valuable data and revealed optimistic implications in relationship to volunteer activities and older adults. Productive age after 65 has some challenges at the workplace. Most older workers perform as well as the younger workers. However, there is still ageism in the workplace, which is prejudice or discrimination on the basis of a person's age. The graying of working America will have to pay more attention to making use of older workers who will constitute an increasing proportion of the workforce. There is the concept of plasticity, which shows potential for the retiring older workers to adapt to the new technology. For example, this way the knowledge skill set the older worker already accumulated over the years only enhances the new trade technology implicates. The discovery method of training allows trainees discover for themselves how to carry out a task to be learned. This method has been found to be very effective with older workers. Slide 8, 9, 10, and 11 cover 4 controversial readings explaining all facets of our retirement topic. Each reading brings up interesting questions that require reflective moments. In this slide 8, it's presented reading 43. Achieving a Productive Aging Society, in which authors provide a historical perspective. They argue that under the conditions of the later part of the 20th century, which set the stage for trends we are now experiencing, we need to think again about the meaning of retirement, and in particular, we should design social institutions that can open up new possibilities for productive aging. Making better use of the talents of older people will represent a new social policy goal for the American society. Slide 9. It's addressing reading 44, which is an excerpt from Mark Friedman's book called Prime Time. In this excerpt, Friedman predicts that in the future, aging baby boomers will behave in ways that make earlier ideas of retirement obsolete. In this view, civic engagement could become a new retirement role in years to come. What does Friedman mean by civic engagement, and what would it take for his vision to come to pass? Slide 10. Reading 45. The busy ethic, moral continuity between work and retirement. David Eckerd's article highlights what he calls the busy ethic and shows that for many Americans, both work and and retirement are characterized by the same style of activity and productive engagement, whether in a paid job or not. How does he define the busy ethic, and what are your thoughts about this as a way of being in later life? Slide 11, reading 46. Moving toward a creative retirement. In this article, the author provides us with a contrasting view of how retirement can be a creative period in a person's life. Just as paid work is not the only form of productivity, so recreation and relaxation are not the only forms that leisure might take. How does he define creative retirement, and what are your thoughts about this option for the post-work years of the life course? And with this last thought, we are completing Controversy 10. Let me know if you have any questions. Have a great day.